Well, my name is Lauren McCabe, and I'm the marketing manager for Boulder Opera. And I am here with Brandon Tyler Padgett, who will be the stage director and one of the performers in Hansel and Gretel this December. So, Brandon Tyler Padgett, what do you prefer to be called? And is there a story behind the name?
I'm usually called Tyler. And as far as the story is concerned, it's very typical in the South for a lot of people to go by their middle names. Everyone in my family goes by their middle name or a diminutive of their first name. So my mother goes by her middle name, my brother goes by his middle name. My father is the one outlier out of all of us. But yeah, that's mostly what happens. I've been called. I'll respond to Brandon. I'll respond to Tyler. I'll respond to Titan, Bryler, you. So, but
And
that's mostly it.
I did notice that. I went to school in the South, and a lot of people went by their middle names,
Yeah,
and I
I
just
don't
wasn't.
know what the fascination is. It might be because the first name we tend to enjoy giving like a family name as the first name. So like
Okay.
Marie Anne or Marie, and then you've got like seven Maries, and you go by their middle name to indicate who they are. So
Huh. Well, that's definitely a fun fact.
yeah.
Um, I know you just finished your artist diploma at University of Colorado Boulder. What what made you decide to do that? And what do you gain from having that artistic director diploma?
So as far as my graduate education is concerned, I got my master's and my artist diploma from CU Boulder, and the institution is absolutely wonderful. I worked with so many wonderful human beings. It's a wonderful institution, and I had so many fantastic teachers and such a wonderful experience. And my artistry grew so much from being able to work with these wonderful people. Dr. Holman, Dr. Rieger, Dr. Matsumi Moteki, who is the most wonderful human being, Professor Garland, everyone. Oh, Maestro Carthy, who's just amazing. But as far as my artist diploma is concerned, I I am very grateful for doing my artist diploma. However, I started doing my artist diploma in 2020. So while I don't get me wrong, I am so thrilled that I got to do my artist diploma at CU. It was really out of necessity as I wasn't able to really move from Boulder. I wasn't able to leave my apartment for the most part. It felt like so I reached out, and they still had positions in their artist diploma program, and they were like, "We've enjoyed working with you. We've loved the experience of having you." So I auditioned and I got in. So
That's beautiful. So that's kind of what you did throughout the pandemic, getting
yep,
that artist diploma?
I did my artist diploma,
Because I
and
know that was really hard for a lot of performers.
probably the hardest part. So I graduated right when the pandemic was just
Ooh.
hitting, and we were doing Le Nozze di Figaro, and I was singing Count, and I had been waiting for years to sing Count because I love Mozart, and I was anticipating singing Count because that is the role that baritones who enjoy Mozart are just like, I gotta get it. Um, but we were in our final dress, um, and we were told that there was the possibility that it was going to be canceled. So the other cast, because it was double cast, went up and had their final dress on a Thursday. We were opening Friday. My cast was opening Friday, and we found out halfway that they had canceled the performances. And we all knew that it was coming. But it just, oh, it was so heavy on our hearts. And, there were no performance opportunities for about a year after that. So being able to do my artist diploma and continue doing virtual performance opportunities at CU, it was so much fun to still have a viable way to continue performing.
Yeah, and that's beautiful because again, so many people ended up just kind of stagnant, especially in the performance industry where you
Yeah.
couldn't have in-person events.
Hmm.
Um, but so you're going to be the stage director for Hansel and Gretel. What got you into the idea of wanting to stage direct, or is it something you've always been interested in?
Well, as far as storytelling, if you listen to my mother primarily, since I was like 3 or 4, I would like trap my entire family inside of our living room, and I would get up on the hearth and I would perform little stories for them, mostly whatever I'd seen on TV, and I was just reenacting it. But but they enjoyed it and they recorded it. Um, oh God, the recordings. But I do have a degree, bachelor's degree in theater, as well as my bachelor's degree in vocal performance, and I do have my master's in vocal performance and my artist diploma. So I've got some background in directing. I've taken classes in directing. I have worked with some fantastic directors in my time, operatic directors. So in my undergraduate at the University of Tennessee, James Marble, he is an outstanding director. He has a nuanced understanding of how he wants to tell stories. So he has an idea for the characters going in, but he gives you just the bare roots, the framework, the inputs to what your action are going to be. And then it's supposed to be organic for every person that is within this character. And he is so good at creating organic living stories in opera. He is far and away one of the best directors that I've ever worked with. And Brian Diedrich at Knoxville Opera, that man is one of the most hilarious people that I have ever met in my life. He's just a ball of energy and always has something to say. Um, and it's always tongue in cheek, but his energy and his ingenuity is what was so inspiring to me. So as a director, that's what I really hope to bring to the table: organic, competent storytelling. And these people are just fantastic at it.
And I feel like Hansel and Gretel is a great opera to be doing that in because there's so many different emotions where you can let the characters kind of be more organic with their reactions.
Right. So the beautiful thing about Hansel and Gretel, you've got two different perspectives that you can go with the storytelling. Um, of course, you look at some productions, say done by the Met, and they're much darker in nature. They are trying to emphasize some of the more adult themes, the adult evils of the world that could be placed, and that there is a connotation of the perspective of the children seeing it and how it's affecting the children, but it's much more, you see the perspective through an adult lens. Like the darkness is much more mature at times. In other productions, you step away from that because you have the innocence lens. It is the perspective of right and wrong, good and evil, very binary absolutes that a lot of children have because they're working from a system of base survival. What is going to be comforting and good is good, and what is not comforting is bad. And that's where Hansel and Gretel is so interesting to work with because for our production, we are trying to emphasize something that children can relate to. So we are really trying to work towards bringing the innocence and the virtue of holding true to a system of love and faith and joy and wonder. I think for me, for Hansel and for Gretel, what is the most outstanding thing of these two characters is that they are truly wondering. They wonder about everything, which gets them into trouble. It's true. But that's what happens to all of us as we grow up, as we explore, as we understand our world. Our wonder does come across some witches or some disappointments or some dangers even, and it's coming to terms with it's a scary world out there, but you've got to explore it because otherwise you don't come across the Dew Fairy and the Sandman.
So I know there's a lot of differences between kind of the classic version of Hansel and Gretel that gets told right now and Humperdinck's rendition of it, which is more based off the Brothers Grimm fairy tale. What should the audience be expecting to see that's different or that might not follow the same Hansel and Gretel story we tend to think about?
Well, the thing that is a little bit different. So the Grimm story, what is not touched on that much is what happens with the mother and the father. That's the thing that tends to be, kind of placed to the side. There are some renditions of the story where Hansel and Gretel are actually being abandoned in the woods, which is not the case in Humperdinck's. However, there are elements of potential domestic abuse, which we are stepping away from just to allow for children to experience the story. We have tried to step away from the domestic abuse aspect. What we are trying to emphasize with the mother and father in this story is that they are flawed human beings, that they are people who are going through an incredibly stressful time. They are destitute, they are starving. They are not hungry, they are starving. And they are in a spot of desperation that is beyond what would be typical for viewers of opera, typically. It's a situation that I would never hope on anyone, where they have children and all of their energy is going towards maintaining a family system, maintaining a sense of peace and unity for your children, because the mother and father do very ardently love their children. When the father finds out that the mother, because of fatigue, because of tiredness, because of, oh my God, if these children are underfoot one more time, I'm just going to go insane. She sends them out into the woods, which, that's like saying, go out and play in the yard. I can't stand it right now. My mother told me that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So when the father realizes that the mother has sent them to Ilchenstein, to the witch, he is terrified. And, he is overwrought with fear of losing his children, the core of why the mother and the father work so hard, maintain this home, have suffered for so long. But that's, I think, what we're trying to really get at the core of it. Like, there is the world, and there are physical limitations to all human beings. But the impetus of love is always there.
Wow, that's a very beautiful take on it. And I'm so looking forward to the show. Is there anything else you would like to share about the upcoming production of Hansel and Gretel?
Well, things to share. First of all, I would like to thank CU because we are going to be borrowing their production, their sets and their costumes, and piano. And Ron Mueller are probably. I worked with them at CU, and they should be put up for sainthood. They work tirelessly. They are fantastic colleagues. They are so concerned about making the experience of performing fantastic for the performers and for the viewers. And it just getting to work with these people again is it warms my heart so much. We have like little production meetings here and there, and I'm just like, oh, you're back, and it's so much fun. So the production values I could not be more happy with. I'm over the moon. Um, the singers that we have are absolutely outstanding.
You included.
Sorry.
You included.
Oh well, shucks. Um, father's okay. Um, and I've got friends in the cast. Sabina Balsamo will be performing the Dew Fairy and the Sandman, and I am so looking forward getting to work with all of these people on the core aspects of their characters and how they exist in time, in space, how they're affected by things. So I think for the audience, be prepared to be enchanted. That's all I can say.
That sounds exciting. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I am so looking forward to Hansel and Gretel this December 9th through 18th at the Dairy Arts Center.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too, Laura.